Hi, everybody. My name's Danielle Applestone, and yes, I am a materials scientist and an engineer, and I'm also an entrepreneur. But before I was all of those things, I was this kid. So I like that T also showed a photo of her childhood because this is kind of where it starts. I was in rural Arkansas, and there's not a lot going on there, as you might imagine, but for me, I can honestly say that I got from there to here by learning to build things. Building things is the most significant thing that happened to me in my life, and it really shaped what I was able to do. My previous company to this one, I was the CEO of a robotics manufacturer. And as I thought about what was I going to do next, I sold that company. I thought about kids like me in places where there's not a ton of opportunities. But because I'm an entrepreneur, I also think about the future a lot. So I think about the time when we'll be able to solve our problems by applying technology, and wouldn't this future be grand? But what I discovered as I was thinking about where should I focus next and how do we achieve this future, I discovered that what I think is the #1 thing standing in between us and this bright future, which is that, in the United States at least, we are facing the biggest manufacturing labor crisis since World War II. And it's not a thing that's about to happen, it's already happening. We have 600,000 open jobs in manufacturing today, which means it's about the size of a city like Milwaukee. Like, we could employ every single man, woman, and child in Milwaukee in manufacturing if they wanted to go into manufacturing. And the problem's only going to get worse. We have 25% of our manufacturing workforce is over 55, which means in the next decade, they're all going to retire, and that'll leave us 4 million open jobs. So we have 4 million more people leaving manufacturing in the next 10 years, and there's already nobody to fill those jobs. There's not going to be anyone to fill the additional 4 million jobs. So this is a pretty significant problem. But I wanted to remind everyone that we still do make things in the United States, because there's a lot of stories that come out about how most manufacturing is done in Asia, and yes, a lot is done in Asia, but still we're #2 in the world in manufacturing. And the important part to me is this 12%. 12% of our economy is in manufacturing, and 15 million people work in manufacturing. But somehow we got ourselves into the situation where we stopped paying attention to how we were going to maintain that 12% of our economy. And me personally, I don't want to lose that 12%. And the way that we got into this mess is a couple reasons. A lot of people will say, oh, well, it's because of shop class. We took shop class out of high schools. And yes, that is important. But I think the more significant reason why we're in this labor crisis is this. So even though 8 in 10 Americans believe that manufacturing is vital to our economy, and even though the jobs are really good jobs, good, stable, long-term jobs that pay more on average than other industries, it's this. Only 3 in 10 Americans would recommend manufacturing to their children. We're not emphasizing the importance of manufacturing. We don't respect manufacturing in the way that we should, as it is the backbone of how we're going to build this future that we're supposed to live in. But there's good reasons why these people are not recommending manufacturing to their children. #1 is they think that manufacturing is still dirty and dangerous. And that is easy to change. We can just show everyone, like, look, this is what a modern day factory is. It's actually nice to be in. It's safe. But they're also afraid that the culture is toxic. Nobody wants their daughter to go into an environment where they're going to be harassed. So we have this cultural stigma also around manufacturing, and for good reason, because bad things do happen in some companies, but not most. Most are actually really great. But we're in such a like such a crisis right now that our long-term things, the things that we used to do to get people into manufacturing, won't work. We can't go into high schools and say, hey, you should get into manufacturing. And 6 years later, when the freshman has graduated high school and gone through 2 years of training to become a CNC operator, that's too long. We will be totally screwed by that point in time if that's our method. And also, automation isn't going to solve this problem either, because the person who is retiring from their job after spending 35 years becoming, like, mastering what they do in manufacturing, that's not the kind of job that gets automated. So how do we rebuild this pipeline of people? This is just to emphasize the fact that training is not going to work, that traditional training won't work. In South Carolina, there's at least 20,000, if not more, manufacturing jobs open today, and this is the number that we're graduating. So if every year we have 20,000 job openings and we only fill 5,000 of them, it's going to be a problem. And this brings me to my other point, which is there's artificial reasons why we aren't having people go into manufacturing. So there's only, out of these 5,000, there's about 300 women. But not because the jobs that require heavy lifting and things like that. This is an artificial cultural problem that is exacerbating the manufacturing labor crisis. So rather than send you further and further into like the depression of like how bad this problem is, this is the point where we turn it around. So these are people who used to work at my factory. When it came time for us to increase production of our robotics and scale production, we looked around and we couldn't find anyone to hire either. There were no experienced manufacturing technicians around. And so rather than wait, we decided to take a somewhat strange approach. We did two things. We hired unlikely candidates with no manufacturing background, and we gave them the support that they needed to change careers into manufacturing. And it worked. We took, so on this screen, this is just a small slice of who was at our company, but on this screen you have someone who studied acupuncture, an architect, a chef, a customer service person from Home Depot, a camera repair guy, a videographer, and someone who was stocking shelves at the zoo. And none of these people on paper looked like manufacturers. Some of them had communications degrees or art degrees. But what we did was we said, hey, if you've got a good attitude and you want to learn, we'll bring you into our company in pairs, 2 of you at a time, and we'll spend 1 month training you together in the details. And it totally worked. It was critical to the success of our company because while other people couldn't scale, we could scale as much as we wanted because we would just look around and be like, hey, you've got a great attitude. Do you want to build stuff with your hands? Okay, come join our company. And so that's what I'm going to do more of because I think that there's something that's key about what we did that can bring us out of this manufacturing labor crisis and actually allow us to build a new workforce for the manufacturing industry in the United States. And that's why I launched Daughters of Rosie a few weeks ago. Daughters of Rosie doesn't even use a particularly unique idea. We are borrowing from how this worked last time. So between 1943 and 1946, we put 6 million women to work in manufacturing. And we did it with all-women training programs. We did it with a cultural shift of how we thought about women in manufacturing. And we actually gave support to people. And we did that, that's 3 years, 6 million women, and no internet. Like, we can definitely solve this problem right now with all the ways that we can connect and communicate today. So that's what we're gonna do. And what Daughters of Rosie tactically does is we create all-women training programs. We partner with the manufacturers, and we help them create an all-women training program. And we don't require them to pay for training and go somewhere else to a different school. We just put them right in the mix with everybody that is at the manufacturer. So the training is on-the-job training, which is great. And we also prepare the environment, like T was saying. there wasn't even a bathroom for women. Well, that's one of the things that we do. We make sure that before women show up, there's a bathroom, there's personal protective equipment that fits them, there's a good employee handbook that outlines the code of conduct for the company, and all the very small details that actually gets the company ready to have women. They set an intention with wanting to scale and wanting to bring women in, and that's one of the things we do. The other thing that we really do is we make sure that these are good jobs with full benefits, because we target women who are in jobs that don't have what they want, jobs that are usually in the service industry, and they don't have purpose, they don't have growth potential, and they don't have benefits. And so what we say is, would you like to have a job with all of those things? Would you actually like to have a career where you could learn and grow and earn more money over time? And so that's what we do. And we launched the pilot program with a company called Saildrone. So Saildrone is 70 people. They're in Alameda, California, on an old military base. And they make autonomous sailing vessels that go around the Earth and collect the most accurate data we've ever had about our environment. And they're made out of composite materials, so fiberglass and resin and carbon fiber. And they're now scaling. They're building this fleet of thousands of their sailing vessels. And they decided to take a different approach. Rather than to try to steal manufacturing techs from a different company, which is like very common, they decided to partner with Daughters of Rosie. So I want to show you what it looks like when a manufacturer partners with us, but also markets specifically to women. Let's see if this works. Yay. My last job, a good day, was having less than 100 emails in my inbox. And now I get to go home at the end of the day and be like, look, I built something.
I really find enjoyment in placing something right and making it pretty. There's an art to laying down fiberglass. Health insurance for my entire family matters, and Saildrone really has an incredible package. Working in composites, there are so many open doors, whether that's in aerospace, satellites, airplanes, bicycles. I'm learning the skills here that are really transferable into many different industries, and that's exciting. We were out sailing a couple of weekends ago, and they saw a Saildrone being taken out under the Golden Gate Bridge. And I was like, see that? I helped build that right there. I helped build that.
That's what it looks like. Oh, wait. So I'm a scientist, I'm an entrepreneur. I definitely have never worked in HR, but I think that this will work. And more than anything, I think it's worth a shot, and we can't afford to not try to get 4 million women into manufacturing. So I'm going to need a lot of people's help. Here are the 2 ways that you can help me. Talk with every woman that you know about her career. Is she satisfied in her career? If she isn't, and if she's interested in finding a new career, tell her about Daughters of Rosie. And I don't even care, honestly, if you tell her about Daughters of Rosie. Tell her about manufacturing and talk to her about the reality of what it is and how good it can be for a person who has been a little bit stuck in their career. And the second thing is talk to manufacturers. If you know any manufacturers or supply chain partners or anyone who's looking to scale, have them come talk to us. We need to get more people into these roles, and I think that this is something that we should try. So if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me. I'm Danielle at daughtersofrosie.com. And hopefully you'll come away from today realizing that A, this is a big problem. This is what stands in the way of us achieving our bright future, but there is a way to solve it. Thank you.